Hello there. My name is Ian McGregor and I'm with Farmstead Gardens, and we would like to share with you a video that we recorded this past winter while we were teaching a class online about food preservation. And we actually made these here preserved lemons many months ago, and I've been eating them ever since. This is my last jar. And we were hoping to inspire you all to start maybe thinking about food preservation of your own, since there's so much bounty in the garden this time of year. I'm blanching and freezing these delicious snap peas, even though they're best eaten fresh, right out of the garden. It's important to remember that you can preserve this good food all year round. So please enjoy the video about preserving lemons, and also hopefully you'll consider donating to Slow Food in the Tetons through old bills this year as a way to help make a more robust agricultural and food-centric world here in Jackson. Thank you. I'm going to make something called preserved lemon, and this is the last remaining of my preserved lemon from last year, and this was put in this jar pretty much 1 year ago. And I think it's a really interesting, I wish there was like smell-o-vision so you guys could really take a whiff of this, but it's got this like bright, take a smell, just give it a whiff. It's got this bright lemony smell, but it also has like a little bit of a pine sol smell. It's something you wouldn't think of as being delicious, pine sol. And don't go drinking pine sol, please. But preserved lemon is really cool because it allows you to eat the entire lemon. I basically pull it out, and you can see that it's got the flesh and the seeds and the skin all there, but the skin is tender and easy to chop. And I put it in everything from salad dressings to rice, put it in soups. I'll pour the brine, the liquid that's on top across salmon or fish. It makes this humble lemon infinitely useful, and it lasts literally forever. And that's through a curing process. It's from the chemical reaction of citric acid and salt. So I'm going to do a quick demo of preserving lemons for you guys. So to start off, I want to just give you the quick rundown of how to do a basic preservation and how to prepare for it. First thing you want to do, have a nice clean jar. So, always make sure that you scrub the jar with soap and water. And basically you want to sterilize it. Again, you don't want any microbes in here. Instead of fermentation where you want to control the variety of microbes, instead you want to have little to no microbes available. And so by washing it, we are going to kill 90% of the microbes. And that's a good start, but it's not all the way. Clean jar. Next up, I want you to clean your lemon. So, you got to just scrub the outside of the lemon. Don't use soap or anything. You don't want to actually soap it. You just want to get off any little bits. Now, this lemon is from the store, and so who knows what's been touching it. And then also I'm going to go grab and pick my lemon from the tree, which is the very last one, and somewhat sad to say, oh, poor thing, it's my last one. I have to wait a year now for more of these. It's been really fun to eat them. But this has been in my house. I know there's been dust everywhere. My little baby's been crawling around, sneezing everywhere. So it's just scrub this thing down, get it just kind of as clean as you can. Again, without soap and water. So, clean lemons, clean jar, and then you want to have a clean surface, which I wiped down earlier, and a clean knife. This is my vegetable cleaver. It's like a meat cleaver, but much smaller, much easier to work with. but I like that it doesn't have a point because I don't have to worry about like stabbing into my table or cutting into my hands. And it's really nice for when I'm sauteing. I can scoop everything up, put it in the pan, all with this nice flat surface. Love a cleaver. But basically, we're making a salt brine where the lemon is going to live in salt, and any microorganisms that were in here, like the ones we didn't scrub off or kill, are going to die in this really intense salt mixture. So what I like to do is cut off the end where the stem was hanging on the fruit, and I just cut that end off like so. It's a little bit woody, and it also, that's the place that harbors the most microorganism. There's another piece of stem. We're going to cut that one off like so. And I like to leave as much of the rind on there as possible because it's really what we are going to be eating actually with the preserved lemon down the road. Now, I think it's best, you could do it by slicing any which way, but I've had the best results with slicing partway through the lemon, but making sure to not go all the way through. So it's like you cut it into sections that are still held together by the other end of the fruit. So there you've got this lemon cut into quarters like that. You can kind of peel them apart a little bit more. We'll do that to this one. This one is a Meyer lemon. So the ones I grow are Meyer lemons. They're a bit sweeter and a bit darker in color. You can kind of see the two colors, definitely smaller. And this is a Eureka lemon, which has a much thicker, you can see how thick the skin is right there, like how thick that rind is. And since we eat the rind, it's nice to have a thicker rind as well. But I like the flavor of a Meyer lemon, so I'm going to do both. Cut this into another section like so. And then I like them to be held together because then they kind of hold their shape through the curing process. They don't just turn to mush and disappear everywhere. But what we want to do, the reason we cut it like this is to kind of pull it open and then to start bringing salt into the mixture. And this gets the salt down into the guts of the lemon so that it can cure not just from the outside, but also from the inside. That way it cures a lot faster. This will be done in about 3 weeks. And, I think it's important to realize that, some things take time. I make lots of different foods, like for example, my mushrooms that are growing downstairs, they take 6 months to grow, but they're really easy. You don't have to water them, you don't have to do anything to them. You just have to wait, and that's what's going to happen here. So you can see I've got a pretty thick, I just basically layer it up until the salt doesn't fit anymore. And then I forgot to tell you to put a layer of salt in the bottom of your jar, like so. Just a layer to coat the bottom. And then in goes the lemon. And what's cool about going into the jar like this is it juices it. And you want the juices to get squeezed a bit out so that they can kind of coat it and mix with the salt and make a nice brine. So boom, you got a nice, lemon in a jar. I'm gonna actually probably break this one in half so that I can fit it because I realize how big it is, but I'm still gonna pack all the edges with salt. Like so. Now the salt creates an environment where most microbes can't live. And the ones that do live are healthy. Like for us is lactobacillus. That's usually what goes into our pickles. And so if this does end up, like if I left this at room temperature, it would grow some pickling microbes. But I'm going to actually just let this sit for 3 weeks on my counter. I'm going to shake it every couple of days, kind of when I walk by. I like to put it by the front door. And just like when I walk by, just shake the whole thing. Simple, idiot proof right there. And then in 3 weeks, I'll put it in the refrigerator, and that will be the end of it. It'll live in there. And I don't think lactobacillus will have much of a chance to grow. Now, there is a solid, 2 lemons packed in there. It's pretty full. But what I want to do is put a nice layer of salt over the top. And you guys, if you do a recipe, you can measure it however you want. But I find it's not a very exact science, just like most things. And then I press down as hard as I can on it, trying to get as much of that juice out of it as I possibly can. You can see it's starting to juice pretty well there. And if I just squeeze it down a little bit more, like so, I should have enough juice to cover the whole thing. And that's kind of what you want. You want the salt brine to be as high, if not a little bit higher than the lemon, like the solid lemon flesh. So push it down enough to get those juices flowing out to where we've got a nice salty brine covering the whole thing. Now, one other thing you can do is take another lemon like so, and then I'm just going to squeeze more juice into it to top it off. So it's a combination of citric acid and citrus in general with salt that creates an environment that's perfect for curing. Now, other foods that are cured are things like, think about like bacon or fish. If you think about like smoked salmon or gravlax or things like that, those are, you know, cured foods that are able to, jerky is another one. Cured and often smoked is a combination to create an environment that won't grow microbes. And that is the essence of curing food preservation. All cultures have their own forms of food preservation, some of which are more enticing to our palates than others. But I want to encourage you guys to explore the world of food preservation, especially since we live in such a cold weather environment, and realize that through preservation, I'm just going to go ahead and top this baby off. Through preservation, you are able to not only have food in the lean months when, you know, winter time has hit and there's not a lot of food to eat. Not only is it important to do that, but you change the flavor of things and you make things that are more delicious and more flavorful in general. And that's kind of something that I think is the beauty of food preservation. Not only does it save food for us, but it makes it tastier. And that right there is preserved lemon 101, your first preservation technique. So that's kind of, oh, you know what I forgot? And this is always, you know, optional, but I wanted to do some flavoring today with my bay leaves and some peppercorns. That's why I put these out. So these are really dry, so I hope they're fairly free of microbes. But again, we're not killing all the microbes with our salt brine. We're just killing some of them. If you put a little bay leaf in there, it makes a nice little sort of like contrast to your preserved lemon, like that. And then I'm going to go in with a couple peppercorns as well. And this is just going to give it a nice sort of spiced flavor. Throw in a handful of peppercorns like that. And then, of course, the ever important shake. And there you have it.